Hi, this is Wayne Blau. Today we're going to talk about creating your business dashboard. The 5 critical reports that every business owner must review. I go over it in the article, but I'm going to show you how to set them up. I'm not going to talk really about why you need them because I did that in the article, but truthfully, this is the 5 reports that everybody needs. And what we're going to do, we're going to put them all in one place. All right, we're going to create a memorized report, and we're going to go to memorized report list, and let's add a new group. And let's call it the weekly management reports, or let's call them the 15-minute reports. Minute management reports. Okay. We say okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start going through and setting these up. So let's do a few that I like to see. So let's do the standard profit and loss, and let's do it for last week. All right. I said last week. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to memorize this, and I'm going to change it to say last week. All right. Now, this is kind of handy. Let's change this a little bit though. Now, what I can do to make my life easier too, I can change the header. It already says last week, and let's say okay. Let's change this one where I say let's change this to this fiscal year to date. Always like to know what I'm doing. Let's add some percentages in here and put the previous year in and say okay. And that one doesn't work as well. Let's get rid of this percentage and put this so I can see how I'm doing compared to last year. Now what I can do is I can memorize that one. I say a new one, I don't want to replace it. Instead of last week, let's change it as year to date comparison. So I slipped off and hit my cap locks. Year to date comparative. Alright, so I do a couple like this. These are pretty handy. Now what I also want, I want sales reports. So let's go to sales reports by customer summary. I can leave this for any time period, but let's say I want to look at last week. See what we did. Alright. And again, I'm going to memorize this, and I'm going to change it last week. And one thing I forgot to do is save this with a group. So I want to put it in there and say okay. I'll show you how to fix that on the one I did earlier. And let's say we do this one for this this quarter. Alright, this quarter to date. Let's do that. So let's memorize this one, a new one. Quarter to date. Save with the memorized group and say okay. Another one that's really need to go through is the accounts receivable report. So let's do the AR aging summary, and we like this one. We're just going to say memorize that one and put it in this group. What also would be handy is to take another one of those receivable ones. I kind of like the collection report. I'm going to basically put anything that's past due. Alright. I want to memorize that one, put it with this group, and say okay. Now in accounts payable, let's do a payables report. I want the summary in there. So again, I'm going to memorize it and put it with that group. Alright. And while we're at it, let's see if there's anything else from there I want. I can see the unpaid bill detail, which gives me a little bit of an idea of what is out there. And that's not a bad one to have. Alright. And let's put that in. The other area we want to do, and this one's a little trickier to get, we want to get our cash balance. Now watch this because this is a little tricky. We're going to go down to balance sheet. Alright. But what we're going to do is we're going to customize the report. Alright. And now we're going to filter it. And instead of all accounts, we're going to change it to all bank accounts and undeposited funds. Alright. So now we say okay. What I would recommend is changing this to say, instead of balance sheet, bank balance. I wish they'd have this one. They don't. Now what I have is I can see what I'm doing on my bank balance for this particular day, memorize it. Alright, put it with my group and say okay. So those are the 5 types of reports that I want to see, and that's how to set them up. Now how do I get to them? Well, I go to reports, I go to memorized reports, and see this 15-minute management groups. Now I'm going to go to all of them because there was one I forgot to put anywhere. Well, I guess I got it. Well, I like this profit and loss by month. This is this one here, and that might be one I want to do. So let's take that, edit it, and move it to my manager's report. And I'm just going to change it to my 15-minute report. Now what I have is I have reports that I can quickly get my manager to come in, just teach him how to go to reports, memorize my owner, and he can quickly just pick any one. And just by reviewing, and I can put them in the order I want. So I got cash, I got my AR, I got my AP, I got my unpaid bills. All right, I got my collection report, so I can call people that are past due. Now I got my profit and loss by month, and I really wanted my profit and loss normal. All right, so let's just edit that and put that with the 15-minute report. All right, and pull it down. So I have my main areas. What's in the bank? Who owes me money? Who do I owe? Am I making money? And who's buying from me? Very handy. And I might want to. Here's another report that I find pretty handy, by the way. I want to give you this one too. Go to sales, sales by customer summary, and let's take this fiscal year to date. But let's customize the report and let's add previous year. Now change the header. Previous year comparison. Previous year comparison. All right. Now when I say OK, what I'm going to get is I can see the change from a customer who bought last year who hasn't bought from me this year, and call them up and say, hey, do you need any work done? Yeah, that's real handy. A lot of sales-oriented companies use this one a lot. And I'm going to memorize this one. All right, put it with my memorized group, say OK. Now when I go back to my memorized reports, I can move that down to my sales reports. If an owner will look at those reports, they are going to be so far ahead of any other owners. Plus, they're going to have a strong feel for what their business is doing. Until next time, this is Wayne Bilal, and let's keep making money.